Oh, I'm going to take a student loan, the new riba, right? The riba that's eating away at the Muslim community, student loans. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, $100,000 in student loans to do an accounting major. Do some accounting. What are you going to get in an accounting major? What kind of salary are you going to earn? And how long will you have to earn that salary to pay off to become an accountant? Do some math. Talk to people in your field. You know, it's not even good dunya business. It doesn't even make sense in the worldly sense financially. The new argument is, hey, you're going to go become a doctor. Take the loan. You're going to save lives. It's a good thing. You're doing an ibadah for, I even heard this, you're doing an ibadah for the sake of Allah. Go take the riba loan. Oh, what? When did that happen? When has that ever been argued? When in Islam did the ends ever justify the means? When did that ever happen? Subhanallah. The insanity of it all. That's the figurative meaning. Those who consume riba, you don't see them around. They don't stand إِلَّا كَمَا يَقُومُ الَّذِي يَتَخَبَّطُهُ الشَّيْطَانُ مِنَ الْمَسِّ, except just like the one who stands around that has been touched by, or who's been taken by the shaitan, grabbed by the shaitan with a touch. In other words, the devil has touched someone was an expression that someone's gone crazy. Someone's wild, their hair's all over the place, their disheveled clothes, and they're running crazy in the street. تَخَبَّطُهُ الشَّيْطَانُ مِنَ الْمَسِّ. That was the expression. Allah says people who consume riba are that crazy. You want to see an example of that? And now it's not as, because most trading happens online now, but back in the day, stock market, the floor of the Wall Street stock market, you want to see يَتَخَبَّطُهُ الشَّيْطَانُ مِنَ الْمَسِّ, you watch a video of that, opening and closing bell. You'll see it. You'll see what that looks like. People, dignified, educated people turning into crazy wild animals. This is يَتَخَبَّطُهُ الشَّيْطَانُ مِنَ الْمَسِّ. Shaitan has got, it's like shaitan has touched them. Also, this implies you can't reason with them anymore. When they start tasting that kind of lifestyle of riba, then there's no reasoning with them. They go crazy. And then, and how crazy do they get? Well, they say ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ مِثْلُ الرِّبَى. That is because they say bay' is just like riba, trade, business which Allah made halal, is just like riba. What's the difference? I rent a house, I pay the same money. I mortgage a house, I pay the same money. What's the difference? Financially, the same amount of money left my pocket. What difference does it make? I give somebody, money, and I give somebody $100, they pay me back 120 in 2 weeks. I give somebody $100, they invested it, made some profit, and paid me back 120. I still got 120. What's the difference? It's the same. Liquid assets, solid assets, it's okay. And don't be a very layman person in finance. Just think of it in very basic, primitive terms. You got a house in New York in 1820. You paid $10,000 for that house. Or better yet, you paid a brick of gold for that house. A brick of gold, you paid for that house. Now you own that house, right? And you bought it on interest, of course. So you're supposed to make payments of $10,000 over a course of 20 years. How much did you end up paying? $25,000. Now come times for you to sell that same house. You're going to sell it for $11,000, $12,000, make a little profit. What are you going to sell it for? Well, you spent 25, so you should at least ask for 30. The next guy buys it for 30. He's going to take another 30 years to pay it off. How much did he pay? He paid 60. He's going to sell it. He's going to sell it at least for 70. The next guy buys same house, same brick, same foundation, same patch of land, same physical material value. But the next generation and the next generation and the next generation, it becomes more and more and more and more difficult for them to afford the same thing. The same exact thing becomes more and more and more difficult for them to afford. And perhaps even the previous generation died paying it off, paying 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times the price of what it was actually worth, and left their children in debt or homeless. Is that not what's happening around us? Wealth. People got robbed of that wealth. That's what riba does. That's what it robs people of value, of good hard-earned money. These people, honest, like non-Muslim people, our fellow American citizens, they have decent jobs. They got themselves into predatory loans. They bought homes for $150,000, $200,000, not mansions, decent-sized homes, and they were paying $1,500, $1,600 in a mortgage, but it's adjustable rate, right? So they jumped the rate from 5% to 8% to 12%, and now all of a sudden, within a month, their mortgage payment went from $1,500 to $3,500. They can't afford it anymore, and so now they're paying for a house that's worth $200,000. They're paying $700,000, and they can't, so they're kicked out of their house. And then the bank sells it off. Oh, at a loss of $300,000. Oh, poor bank. Only got to make $100,000 this time. You know, that's riba. That's how riba is eating away at not just us, all of society. It's a means of oppression in society. وَمَنْ عَادَ, and whoever comes back and starts collecting riba again, فَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ, and those are people of fire, هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ, in which they will remain. يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَى, Allah obliterates riba. Allah eliminates riba. وَيُرْبِ الصَّدَقَاتِ, and He raises sadaqat. Yurbi is the same root origin as riba. Arba, yurbi, to raise something. Raba, to rise yourself. Riba, to something to swell and rise yourself. Riba is also used for mutated growths. Like, you know how potatoes get some mutations on the side sometimes? They're also called ribas, like unnatural growths. Riba is unnatural growth of your wealth. And Allah says, Allah will make your sadaqat grow unnaturally. He'll make them even more powerful and sustained in society, but Allah will obliterate riba. We're seeing Allah obliterating riba in society now. The housing crisis, the credit crisis, this is Allah obliterating riba. يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَى وَيُرْبِ الصَّدَقَاتِ, and He will elevate charities. وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ كَفَّارٍ أَثِيمٍ, and Allah does not love every single one of those who are excessively disobedient, excessively ungrateful, and constantly in sin. What an incredible combination. And we'll end with this, كَفَّارٍ أَثِيمٍ. Kaffar is different from kafir. Kafir is ungrateful and disbeliever. Kaffar is excessively ungrateful. Someone who engages in riba has engaged in an incredible act of ingratitude towards Allah. Because it's a highly selfish act to deal in this heinous practice. They're always making money, I told you, even when they're sleeping. So they're constantly making money. So Allah uses the ism sifa, something you learn in sarf. The ism sifa is athim with a ya in it, which means someone who's constantly in sin. Because the riba is constantly growing. So they're always in sin. Whether they're sinning physically or not, their money is always sinning for them. Kafarin athim, Allah doesn't love those kinds of people. If you find out time outside of that, read this book. It's called Brand Washed. It's called Brand Washed. It just came out, a recent book. It's awesome. How we have been convinced of value in brands, whether they're schools, or shoes, or cars, or clothes, right? We're convinced of brands all around it. And we can be convinced that our happiness and our dignity and our self-worth lies in the brands that we hold in our hands. So when Muslims don't do serious research in this area, it in and of itself suggests that we've become defeatist. We don't think there's a solution. We're not confident Allah has a solution. He does. His book does. And it needs to be brought to light. And I believe really we have some very intelligent minds, and they can do work in this area, and we can have another economics. We can have clean economics. We can have clean capitalism. We can. Halal capitalism. We can develop that as an industry, an entire economic model. And if the entire world doesn't follow, the Muslims can commit themselves to it, and when the rest of the world sees the benefit of it, they'll follow suit. I told you, right? A brother I met only became Muslim because he read up on Islamic financing. He was a Wall Street guy. Looked up ethical financing online. First thing he found was Islamic concepts in financing. He's like, this is way too ethical. It can't be anything but God's religion. Didn't even read the Qur'an. Just because we are against riba, he became Muslim. A Wall Street guy. That's incredible. You know? So we're holding on to something. We have something. We have to expose it to people. People aren't going to come to it. People don't come to guidance. We take guidance to people. May Allah Azza wa Jal give our youth and our minds the ability to be put in the right direction. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Instead of explaining the intricate differences between business and riba and the fine lines between liquid assets and solid assets and all that jazz, Allah just says one thing and closes the case. Here's the reason why you can't have riba. Because you're crazy, there's no reason to reason with you. Why are you crazy? Because shaitan's touched you already. There's no reasoning that'll work with you. So the only thing you need to hear is Allah made bay', trade, business halal. And Allah made riba haram. وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى فَمَنْ جَاءَهُ مَوْعِظَةٌ مِّن رَبِّهِ. Then the one to whom a counsel from his master came. A counselor and counsel from his master came. Somebody gave them really good advice that went inside their heart, and they felt, yeah, I need to get out of riba. I need to stop making money off of riba. Fantaha, then he stopped. Falahu ma salaf. Then he'll get whatever he earned in the past. Before this ayah came down, some Sahaba were involved in riba. Now the ayah came, and they're like, okay, I'm going to stop immediately. I'm not collecting any more interest payments. You just pay me exactly what you owe me. But whatever he earned in the past, he was worried about that too. Allah says, no, you get to keep what you already had. فَلَهُ مَا سَلَفَ, whatever occurred in the past, he gets to keep. وَأَمْرُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ, and his decision is with Allah.